Everything you did brought you where you are now. Where you belong. Home.
They're coming. Our enemy doesn't tire. Doesn't stop. Doesn't feel.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. We got the Game of Thrones Season 8 trailer, and now that we've had time to watch it a billion times, there's been a couple really big questions that you guys had on the previous video that I did. So this is going to be all about the Golden Company stuff during the trailer and the way they're using them during Season 8. A little bit different from their book story, but a couple really big Easter eggs and foreshadowing for some book story twists that they'll be adapting, albeit in slightly different versions. So we'll do a new round of the book giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on the video. So most of you know that the Golden Company is one of the most famous mercenary companies in the East. They're led by Harry Strickland currently, as of right now in the books. This is him at the front of the ship with a very ornate looking golden armor, looking down at the rest of them with his back to us, with a very shiny looking sword that a lot of you also have a lot of separate questions about, which I'll include in the video. They have a rock solid campaign record for all the people that have had enough money to hire them, and their motto is, "Our word is as good as gold." Even more notable that they've never broken a contract since they were founded. Quick history lesson, they were founded by Bittersteel, aka Aegor Rivers, one of the many infamous bastards of King Aegon Targaryen IV, the most Robert Baratheon of all Targaryen kings. Robert Baratheon, interestingly enough, actually does have some Targaryen blood in him through his mother's side of the family. But Aegon IV, during his time, had many bastards, just like Robert Baratheon did, except the big difference is he legitimized most of them in causing a small scandal, bequeathed the ancestral Targaryen Valyrian sword Blackfire to his oldest bastard. This is the same Valyrian steel sword that was wielded by Aegon the Conqueror. Passing the sword down to someone was basically you telling them they would become the next king. The scandal is that the king already had legitimate heirs through his queen, and obviously they weren't having any of that. Once he was legitimized, though, Daemon took the name Blackfire after the sword, and that's where you get the name Blackfire Rebellion, because it caused this big civil war within the kingdom. So half the people supported the Blackfires, the other half supported the legitimate heir. Also really notable during this period, the Three-Eyed Raven on the TV show that you guys have seen. His real name is Brynden Rivers. He was also one of Aegon IV's many bastards. So he was fighting during this period. He fought for the crown, for the legitimate heir. The Blackfires lost. Daemon Blackfire I, the one who was wielding the ancestral Targaryen Valyrian sword Blackfire, he was killed. His heirs took that sword and fled to the east, where one of the other Targaryen bastards, Bittersteel, Aegor Rivers, founded the Golden Company. So you have a lot of Targaryen bastards and exiled Westerosi lords that lost their lands and their titles because they were on the losing side of the Blackfire Rebellion, fighting in what would eventually become a very famous mercenary company. Over time, their reputation grew as a mercenary company because they were highly trained. They were trained as knights and lords, so obviously they had much better skills than your average mercenary group over in the East. Eventually, there were more unsuccessful attempts at rebellion against the throne. There were obviously other conflicts, and then Robert's Rebellion. There were people that fought for the Mad King that were exiled and lost their titles and lands. More of those people joined the Golden Company, so over time, the Golden Company has come to amass a lot of former Westerosi lords and knights, or people whose ancestors lost their lands and titles and joined the Golden Company, and they just grew up in that lifestyle. So Harry Strickland, their current leader, the one in the trailer that you're seeing here, his grandfather fought for the losing side during the Blackfire Rebellion, lost their lands and titles, so Harry Strickland grew up in exile. But a really big book character, Jon Connington, was exiled and lost his lands and titles in Robert's Rebellion because he fought for the Mad King. He was one of Rhaegar's closest friends, so this is where we sort of get to the show and the book combining a couple different Golden Company plots. The reason why the Golden Company in the books is so important is because they're currently leading another rebellion, quote unquote, to try and retake the throne in a version of the Targaryen Restoration. But a lot of you have asked about the Aegon book plot. So in the books, there's a member of the Golden Company that is told that he's secretly the son of Rhaegar Targaryen that was spirited away during the sack of King's Landing at the end of Robert's Rebellion. Remember the story about how the Mountain, during the sack of King's Landing, on the orders of Tywin Lannister, killed Elia Martell and all of her children? One of those children with Rhaegar was a baby boy named Aegon Targaryen. So there's a lot of stuff happening in present day in the books and both on the TV show now with the way that they're positioning Jon Snow as the true-born heir of Rhaegar, the most legitimate choice for the throne, and how Daenerys is coming together with him. So you're already having sort of a Targaryen restoration to the throne. That it kind of implies that this Aegon storyline in the books is fake. He's a fake Aegon, or he's just a Blackfyre. He's not really the son of Rhaegar Targaryen. They're just telling him that so that all these exiled Westerosi lords in the Golden Company can get their lands and titles back. So we said that their motto is our word as good as gold. They've never broken their contract. In the books, they break a contract that they have with the city of Myr to defend them in an upcoming war with the neighboring cities of Lys and Tyrosh up here. So there's this big war happening. They're being paid enormous sums of money. They offer them slaves, a giant harem for their leader, Harry Strickland. You could have the wealth of the world, more money than you could spend in your entire life. And they flat out break the contract to back this fake version of Aegon in a bid to retake the throne so that they can all get their lands and titles reinstated. So think about it this way. The TV show obviously changing a lot of the book plot. There's probably not going to be a fake version of Aegon because Jon Snow's name is supposedly Aegon Targaryen. That might be different in the books, but because they've already named someone Aegon on the show, it's not like a second one is going to come running along. But the character motivations for what they do in the books is still probably present on the TV show, where whether or not they decide to do more book Golden Company characters like Jon Connington, you probably have a couple characters from recent history that lost their lands and titles because they fought for the Mad King during Robert's Rebellion. So Robert, when he was named king, exiled them all, like Jon Connington, that for them the memory of the sting is still so fresh. Like Jorah Mormont fled to exile. He was trying to regain favor by spying on Daenerys for Robert Baratheon. Less honorable means for trying to get his lands and titles reinstated, or at least being allowed back in Westeros without being killed on sight. But the TV show could use Jon Snow being outed publicly as Aegon Targaryen, true-born son of Rhaegar and legitimate heir to the throne, is one of the Golden Company's reasons to break their contract with Cersei. With, of course, the stipulation that Jon Snow and Daenerys reinstate all their family's lands and titles, even if it goes back all the way to the Blackfyre Rebellion. Anybody who was exiled because they were on the losing side of one of the wars is allowed to come back. We will give you back everything that was taken from you. Cersei may also try to offer them a similar deal, which is why Jon Snow secretly being Rhaegar's son would be such an important twist for their storyline. They would probably take either deal if they don't have an emotional connection with either side, but you have this Targaryen restoration, you have people like Jon Connington, even if he's not on the show and they give that story to Harry Strickland or one of the other characters, if he wound up being TV show Rhaegar's best friend, if you were to find out that your closest friend had a living heir and he was a potential candidate for the throne, and there was somebody that you didn't care about, like Cersei, wouldn't you turn and back them, knowing that they would also reinstate all your family's lands and titles? In the trailer, we see them arriving on Euron's ship. Harry Strickland up in the front there. It's possible, one, that the show will do the ancestral Targaryen Valyrian sword Blackfyre, which in the books has currently been lost to the ether. People don't know what happened to it. It was in the possession of the Golden Company and the surviving Blackfyre heirs, but in present day, nobody knows where the sword is, so it's always possible that it could resurface at some later point. The TV show, because they haven't done Golden Company yet, and there's been no mention of the sword Blackfyre, I'm not expecting them to do it, but it's possible that Harry Strickland here has that sword. But here's the thing, if they are doing the Blackfyre sword, most famous sword in the history of Game of Thrones, this isn't it because it looks a little bit curved. The hilt is way different from Blackfyre's hilt. There have been a couple different depictions between World of Ice and Fire and a lot of the other people that make art for the Game of Thrones universe in an official capacity. This is the closest depiction that we have of what it actually looks like. So the hilt would have to be very different. If they do it on the show, it would have to be some other different sword that we're not seeing in any of these photos. Two, other big possibility that Jon Snow and Daenerys' forces are all but obliterated in the big battle during episode 3 at Winterfell, so the odds are a little more even when they come south to King's Landing to deal with Cersei. And because the Golden Company is so badass, even if Jon Snow and Daenerys have greater numbers, they're not quite as effective as the Golden Company fighters. So it's a smaller, more even fight. So I think the Golden Company will be more important later in the season. Also, when you would invoke a big twist, telling them, no, you're fighting Rhaegar's true-born heir. This is Aegon Targaryen, heir to the Iron Throne. Last couple of episodes is where you do all those big story twists, where the battles aren't quite as crazy, but the emotional turns are way bigger, and the payoffs are way bigger. So hopefully that explains a little bit about the way the TV show is using the Golden Company. Right now, I don't think they're going to be doing a whole lot of stuff the first half of the season, like I said, but post all your theories in the comments below. There's still a lot of really big questions and bonus videos you guys have asked for based on the trailer, so I'll make those videos later this week, no worries. Congratulations to the winner from my last big video, Janine Flores. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your details. Click here to watch the Season 8 official trailer.